Hey guys, welcome back to Rather Be Visin. My name is Sam, and today we're taking a look at fixed level of detail calculations within Tableau. So within Tableau, as you drag in more dimensions into your view, you're going to be splitting out your data and bringing it down to a lower level of detail. But there might be times when you want to carry out a calculation at a step or two higher than what you have in your view, and that's where a fixed level of detail can come into play. So let's hop into Tableau, understand what we mean by level of detail, and have a look at some examples of how to use level of detail calculations. So here we are in Tableau, and before we get into understanding exactly how to write these level of detail calculations, it's important to understand what we mean by level of detail. So here I've got a very simple chart built or a table of data where I have got my region, my segment, and my category, and I'm having a look at the sales across these. So this 250,000 that we've got here is having a look at the central region for the consumer segment and the category of furniture. And so because we're aggregating this measure, so when we pull in a measure into Tableau, it's always going to aggregate to that lowest level of detail that you have within your view. If we were to take this out, it's now going to roll that up and it's going to say my consumer segment in my central region, that value is the 911. So that's what we mean by level of detail. So as you bring in more dimensions, you're going further down the level of detail, you're getting more granular with your data, all the way down to when you go down to the lowest level of granularity within your data, which we know in the EU Superstore is right down to sort of order level information. Now, where a level of detail calculation comes in is you can say exactly what you want to fix the calculation at. So at what level do we want to fix this calculation at? There's two other types of level of detail calculations. So we've got an include and exclude, but we'll cover those in another video. So if we have a look at an example here, so I've got my category and my subcategory quantity here. So here I'm working out how many items have I sold for each of my subcategories, and I've got my category within the view as well. Now, if I wanted to actually work this out and see what is my category level quantity sold, the way that I could do that is I can create a calculated field and I can call this category quantity. And to start off with a level of detail calculation, you always start off with a curly bracket. Let's make that a bit bigger, and we're going to say fixed. So I'm going to say exactly what dimensions I want to include when I carry out this calculation. I'm going to say category, then I'm going to put a colon, and I'm going to say what I want to do. So here I want to sum my quantity. And then we finish it off with another curly bracket. So what this calculation is going to do is for each category, it's going to sum my quantity, and it's going to ignore any other dimension in the view or not. It's literally going to have a look at category and it's going to sum my quantity. So if I click OK on that and bring that in, we can see what that looks like. So here we can see now against each of our rows in here, we're carrying out this calculation at the category level. So if we sum these here, we can see that we get the 5671, and that's what we've got in this column here. So where this is really useful is we could then do another calculated field to say percent of items sold, and we could do the sum of our quantity divided by that category quantity. And if we click OK on that and we bring that into the view, make sure that we format that properly, we can now see that our bookcases are 31.5% of our category sales there, or items sold. Now, we can double check that this is doing the right thing. If we take out subcategory, we can see that our quantity, because this is now being carried out at the category level, is the same as our level of detail calculation here. Now, one thing to keep in mind when using fixed level of detail calculations is, as the name suggests, it's fixed. So this will always be working it out at the category level. So if I was to remove category, you can see that my values are still being calculated at that category level. So our bookcases are still coming through at that 5671. And that's a really important thing to keep in mind, especially if you start playing with fixed level of detail calculations in a view where you're then not including that dimension, because it might lead you to carrying out the wrong calculation or including information that you shouldn't be when you're carrying out your analysis. So keep that in mind. And if you want a level of detail calculation that will flex when you add and remove dimensions, then that's where you'll need to use either an include or an exclude calculation. But as I say, we'll cover that in another video. So one last example before we wrap up here. Another way that you can use the fixed level of detail calculation is to say, I actually want to have a look across my entire data set. So here, if we bring in our max order date. So here I'm going to start off with a curly bracket, but this time I'm not going to put in a field or a dimension that I want to carry out this calculation at. I'm just going to put in max order date. And you can see, even though I've not got fixed in there and I've not got the semicolon or the colon, it's still telling me the calculation is valid. So what this is going to do is have a look at my entire data set, and it's going to bring through the maximum order date. So if I say OK to that, and I bring that into the view, and I show that as discrete, you can see I've got that max order date. Now, because we fixed it across the whole data set, it doesn't matter what we bring into the view, it's always going to give us that 31st of December. And if I bring in my standard order date, and I say, actually, I want to see the max of my order date, we can see that it's coming through as the 31st December, which is the same as our fixed calculation. But if I was to start bringing in different dimensions here, you can see that our fixed max order date is still coming through as the 31st of December. But as we add in more granular information, we can see that actually the latest order for technology on the same day delivery type was actually Christmas Day. So because we've fixed that maximum order date across the whole data set, it's always going to return the latest value regardless of what else we bring into the view. So again, this can be really useful if you're trying to work out the time between things. So we could have a look here and we could say, well, actually, there's sort of 7 days between our latest order date for our technology on the same day, but we'd have had other orders for other categories and other delivery modes outside of that. So that's fixed level of detail calculations. Hopefully that made sense. As I say, fixed level of detail calculations are really, really powerful, especially if you want to do those sort of percentage of the whole and you know exactly at what level you want to carry out the calculation, and you know you're not going to be adding and removing dimensions. But if you are going to be adding and removing dimensions, then you want to have a look at include and exclude level of detail calculations. So hopefully that was useful. If it was, please do let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers for watching.